Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, then please do not continue to listen until after you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Happy holidays! Man, I told myself I wouldn't start off awkward, and I did anyways, because...
Well, you do anyway, it's okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm just an awkward person, guys. I'm like this in real life. If anything, I'm worse, because video editing and audio... Oh, you meanie! And audio editing are a good thing. I'm just a... What's the word? An awkward turtle?
Yes.
But anyways, this is coming out
The last week of December.
Yes, but is it the day? It's not the day of Christmas. It's the day right before Christmas.
No, it's
I think it's the 23rd. No, it's not after Christmas.
It's the last week of Christmas. Lord, sorry guys. It comes out on the 30th.
Oh, man. We should have said Merry Christmas in the last one then. Oh, well, whatever. Because I'm over here, I brought Bruce the Santa Shark, or Santa Jaws, aka. And then I even wore my blanket that's kitties with Santa hats. I didn't plan this out very well, but...
You did more than I did. I don't have anything Christmassy here. I got skulls, I got a face hugger, I got a T-Rex skull over here. I got a bird skeleton, like... You're fine.
Yeah.
And then I have the army of dragons just behind that, so...
Yeah, but I feel like this is a kind of based off of how we reacted to the movie. This is kind of an appropriate after Christmas movie,
Yes.
because, yeah. Anyways, so tea. I am going with one of my favorites, the Numi Earl Grey. I just needed some serious caffeine, so I'm like, black tea! But what are you drinking?
I got Brutality's Back in Blackberry.
Ooh, that sounds tasty.
Yeah, it's got a couple different kinds of berry in it. It's got black tea. It's so good.
Oh, and
I was feeling brutal, so.
I really want to get more of their teas, but I want to use up the tea I have because I have like 10 bags.
I use so many for your...
Yeah. But
But like everything we've tried from there has been delicious. So
yeah, haven't been disappointed. Yep,
definitely not. It's always worth it, guys.
Oh,
And it's all loose leaf, so it's just.
I wonder if they have Christmas teas. Man,
I'm sure they do. We just didn't look because
we should have.
Very Christmassy.
See, we need to plan things better. But anyways.
Procrastinators, guys.
Yeah, it's like
You haven't noticed already.
It's like talking about like not planning things.
Yeah, the things we plan for are like Halloween, and that's the extent of it.
Yeah, and just barely the bonus months. We just kind of like, but even half the time it's just like requests.
We have a vague inclination for it. We're like, yeah, we should do this. These movies sound right. This is fine.
Yeah.
Should we do anything else?
But anyways, today we are covering the 2019 release, Black Christmas. This is I wouldn't call it a remake. It's more of a reboot because they definitely changed some things from the original Black Christmas. And if you guys recall in our Halloween episode on the Halloween movie, it was really Black Christmas that kind of kicked off the start of the slasher genre because John Carpenter made Halloween getting inspiration from Black Christmas. And then, of course, that kind of introduced the slasher genre that we know today. Mm-hmm. So pretty cool. But this movie has no such claim to fame. The basic summary of this movie it starts kind of similarly where they're in a is it a sorority or a
Yeah, it's
okay.
a sorority.
And they add some additional character drama where the main girl got raped by one of the frat house men, and the police didn't believe her. And so it kind of follows through that drama for a good portion of the movie. And in the background, you kind of see the quote unquote, killer taking out women. But whenever the movie kind of climaxes or gets, to the main part, you find out that the men are in a cult, pretty much. And they are killing off all of the women that aren't absolutely obedient to them or if it suits them. So,
They're creating an army, by the way, guys, using this like black magic goo that's
yeah.
seeping out of a bust, a statue of like the founder of the college's head and shoulders.
Yeah. But before we rant on that, entertainment scale. This one's going to be extremely low for me. I saw on IMDb, it's about 3.2 stars right now out of 10. And I would honestly, this movie upset me more when I was done with it than before, like, being curious to watch it. So, and especially compared to the original, maybe even like looking at the movie by itself, it's a mess. So I would probably, I I think I might give it a 2. It's just so forgettable. And then the SJW stuff is so strong. Like I understand like there's issues obviously, but they just pound it into you, and it was a very forgettable movie and a very frustrating movie for me.
I wouldn't go quite as far as a 2. I'd give maybe a 3. I feel like 3 is a little bit better. It wasn't like absolutely god awful, but it wasn't good.
Yeah.
Like, especially compared to the original. If you just watch it on its own without knowing anything about the original, it felt more uncomfortable than anything to watch.
It was very obnoxious. I don't know.
Yes.
The reason why I gave it such a low rating is because we've seen some really bad horror movies, but some of those horror movies are so bad that they're actually entertaining to watch, or they have something that you can take away from it. This movie is like, what's not completely forgettable about it is just like frustrating. And it just,
Yeah.
I, I,
I definitely see where you're coming from. I just
yeah.
feel like there are other movies that I would save the really, really low ratings for.
I mean, we've done how many movies now?
Quite as bad. This one wasn't quite as bad as some of the other movies we've seen, but most of the characters are completely and utterly forgettable and bland.
Yeah.
And we just don't care. Like, we kind of feel bad for the main character and what she's been through, but at the same time, they're like shoving everything in your face all the time. We get it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we know it's a problem, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But it's. And then they go and bring black magic into it with the goo.
Why? It didn't make any sense. This movie was a chaotic mess.
It was. It was a dumpster fire.
And then the themes that they stuck with, they just pound into your skull to where you're like, shut up!
Yeah, we definitely get what message they were trying to send, but the execution was way off.
Like, they honestly would have been better off just remaking the original Black Christmas and just kind of updating it
Yeah.
rather than going a
Even
completely different path.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if they kept the whole rape thing in there, they could have made him the killer and just that be part of his descent into being a huge I can't say too much. I don't want to curse too much on here, but he is a jerk and a half.
You know, we used to cuss way more in our
I'm
original
trying
episodes.
to be better. We don't know exactly who all is watching. There might be young ones, sort of. I hope not with this kind of content, this type of movie. I really hope not. This is not a movie for kids.
Um, well, yeah, I say I kind of like where you're going, and especially if it was the main character, like keep the main character and almost have it to be where like he's trying to kill her, and so it's like she's facing her rapist, and so by her like defeating him, it's a level of her. I guess it's a physical rendition of her moving on from the
Yeah.
situation, and that actually would have been kind of interesting
That would have been good.
if they
That
did
would've
it
been
right.
And he was targeting like her friends and all because they were trying to help her move on, and he was just obsessed with getting back at her for even trying to tell people what he did and things like that. That would have been interesting.
Hmm.
That would have been good. But no, they had to bring black magic goo coming out of a freaking bust as the reason why all this stuff is happening.
Yeah, I like the cinematography and the pacing and all of that. The pacing was okay. Like I see why they paced it the way they did. It wasn't awful. So the filmmakers obviously knew what they were doing from a cinematic point of view, but as far as like the storyline, what they're focusing on, it was a mess.
Just on the wrong things.
I'm kind of curious if there's any drama in the background with the writers or producer, because it was just messy. Just messy, messy.
It was a hot mess. This is. I get the message again, and I'm all for equality and women's empowerment and things like that, but not the way to do it.
Yeah,
I feel like the execution was definitely off.
yeah. It's like like I said, the actual. If you look at the fundamental core of the film, it's not that terrible. We've seen worse movies, but it's the storyline and the focus that really causes the film to just jump off a cliff.
Yeah, again, you just feel uncomfortable for like 90% of the movie.
Yeah.
And the love interest is completely awkward and all. It's kind of cute, but at the same time, it's very cringy.
Yeah.
And you're just like, we've seen it 1,000 times before in literally every other movie ever. So,
Well, and then plus there's a difference between a movie making you uncomfortable in a good way to like make you aware, like Blackfish. Like that's a great documentary to where it makes you feel uncomfortable and angry, but it did it in the right way. While like this movie, it's like if you're trying to bring those things to the forefront, it just I feel like it should have been a different movie. Like what we mentioned earlier, like her facing her rapist. Like you still would have gotten the point across without making these cookie cutter like patriarchy characters are like women are subservient, and then the women that are like super active to such a point where it's like detrimental to the person that actually was the victim. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. If you want to take up your time with something and you're just bored out of your head and you really want to look at it, then fine, be my guest.
I
But
wouldn't even say that. I would say go watch the original.
yeah,
Because this movie was not worth it.
yeah, this movie really doesn't need to exist.
That's what, 2 hours of our lives we'll never get back?
Yeah, this movie doesn't exist.
Hour and a half.
If you never watch this movie, you're not missing anything. Like it's not even funny bad. It's just,
No, I mean, it had a couple of funny parts in it, but
yeah.
it was like, it was more of those, really, you're doing this now kind
Yeah,
of
it's like
moments.
roll your eyes, like really.
Like, oh dear God, here we go.
Yeah, yeah, no. But realism. So this one's kind of a tough one for at least me personally. Well, okay, hear me out. Hear me out. So as far as the actual premise of it, the whole, men thinking women are subservient, like that definitely has a base in realism. Like there's isolated places in the US that tend to have it. There's places in other countries that have it. So it's like that in itself isn't necessarily unrealistic, but the whole like cult with magic goo and then
Yeah.
like and then the whole like joint like murder effort. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe a 5 because it's
I think
pretty.
4.
Yeah, I think
The police were incompetent, maybe a 3. The police were completely incompetent and not
that's
really
true.
listening. Like, it was just the campus security dude,
Yeah,
for the
that didn't
most
make
part,
any
who,
sense.
honestly, the way he was acting and talking should never have been given that position
Yeah,
ever. He
yeah.
has no business being in that position at all.
Okay, so for some reason the cop didn't really cross my mind, so
He was
I redact I retract
forgettable.
my number 5 rating, and I will go down to a 4. Oh,
Yeah, I'd say between a 3 or 4, and then the black goo out of the bus, and even if we suspend reality of that, like,
it didn't need to be there.
can't.
It's just so random. Like, why were they like? They're like, we need magic in this movie, in addition to rape and women inequality and men. That's like, this movie.
And I feel like it almost undermines their narrative. Like, these kind of men do exist out there. Obviously, not all, but there are patches of them here and there that do exist and that do think this kind of stuff without the use of magic goo. You really didn't need it. So it almost makes it seem like they're only really acting like this because of this,
Yeah.
when that defeats the point of the message you were trying to convey and all of defeating the patriarchy and all that.
Yeah.
You
And
didn't need the black goo, basically.
And before I forget, I will edit this video to where there's a trigger warning in the beginning, but for the audio podcast, I'm going to cut and paste. But trigger warning, there is rape mentioned and sexual content and patriarchy and cults.
Fight the patriarchy stuff.
Yeah, but
If that makes you feel uncomfortable or angry or anything,
yes. But anyways,
it's a trigger warning.
yeah, we should have done that in the beginning. But anyways, that's the magic of editing.
Yep. So, really, bottom line, this movie sucks, and I was extremely disappointed with it. Like,
Yeah, I was really hoping for an upgraded. And I know there was a reboot of Black Christmas. I could have sworn there was. That wasn't this movie. I could have sworn there was.
it had to have been better than this one.
Yeah.
I mean, to their credit, like, the effects were good. They obviously had a decent budget,
Yeah.
but they just failed
Yeah, the execution
horribly
was, yeah.
on the story. And you just, throughout most of the movie, you're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You don't. And what parts could have been scary, they make it almost a jump scare with really loud, obnoxious music noise.
Yeah.
At that time, like, it's unnecessary.
Yeah,
You
like
don't need it.
That one scene that you mentioned while we were watching it, where the girl was standing in her room and you see the guy, and it's just like, bah. But I totally agree with your assessment that they shouldn't have had any sound there. That would have made it a lot
No, as
creepier.
she was closing the door, you just see him in the background and then cut to black or cut to another area.
Yeah.
That would have made it really terrifying. You would have had your stomach drop.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they had to have the stupid, generic, loud, scary movie noise, and it's completely unnecessary and just ruins what would have been a really good scare there.
Well,
And would have
plus,
built suspense.
it's like if you want to have music there, I get it, but it's like it doesn't have to be loud and obnoxious. Even if it was like, I've heard this with other horror movies, like you hear like a high pitched like violin noise or something, but it's like so subtle that just kind of works its way with the movie rather than bah.
It's almost a rest in peace headphone users kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was super obnoxious, but you can't have music, just make it more subtle.
Yeah.
Or just use the silence. I feel like when it's really quiet is when you know stuff's going down and it makes you more tense.
Yeah.
When there's no sound. So
Yeah.
use the silence. Build on it. When there's all this noise throughout, just ambient noise for the most part throughout the movie, and then there's just that one quiet moment, it makes the audience really uneasy.
Yeah.
And it works.
Or even kind of like that white noise that you hear in like Phasmophobia when you're inside a house. Just kind of have that white noise.
That heavy air noise.
Yes. And then seeing that.
Oh, I hate it. I promise, guys, we will have a live stream with us playing that game at some point.
No.
And you'll see just how big of a chicken Alyssa is.
Big chicken. I have sacrificed Jess multiple times.
She has basically fed me to the ghost.
I'm just like, bye. Good luck, bye.
Door down the driveway to the van by the time I'm there. So no, yeah. We'll have a live stream at some point.
At least I found a video where it kind of shows you how to loop the ghosts and kind of outrun them. So that made me feel a little bit better. There's only one ghost that you can't do that with. I think it was the Revenant.
It was a wraith.
Or a wraith.
It was a wraith that can walk through objects.
Yeah. But at least, but hey, if I die,
I don't think that would actually help you. When we hear a noise, you're halfway out the door by that point anyway. So even when there are 3 people playing, so
I hate the grudge noise. It's forever like scarred my psyche. So whenever I hear it, I'm just like, death is near. Oh,
we
man.
hear half a millisecond of that noise, guys, and she's already on her way to the door to leave. Like, she's out.
I hate it because whenever I'm paranoid enough, I swear I hear a little bit of it. I don't know if it's the actual game doing it or if I'm just paranoid. And
That's 100% what it is. 100%. We hear a door creak and she's halfway out the door. There was no grudge noise. It was just the ghost, like, in a completely different area of the map, starting to close the door.
Oh, man. But, well, bottom line, guys, is this movie sucks. I don't even feel like doing a if we were in this scenario because it's complete BS.
It's not worth doing a full podcast.
No, if it was the original Black Christmas, yes, but not this movie. It's not worth it.
At some point, that one was way better.
Yeah, we should have done that one.
Sucked.
Yeah.
I honestly wish we had done the original instead.
I know. I have so many regrets.
I had hopes for this one. I purposely did not read anything on it.
Yeah.
Didn't look up any reviews. Didn't look up any previews or anything. Just so I didn't go in with any kind of bias at all.
Yeah.
This movie sucked. Don't do it.
Yeah. And this was the first time that both of us have watched this movie. And
we are disappointed.
Yeah, don't do it to yourselves. There are so many other movies that, yeah, this would be one of the last movies on my list, if not the last, because I've seen some bad horror movies, but nothing as
I'd rather sit in silence.
strange as like this pile of chaos. But anyways, let us know if you guys thought it was as much of a dumpster fire as we did. How would you rate
suffer
it?
through it, or did you skip it and wait for our podcast instead? I'm genuinely curious.
And which version of Black Christmas is your favorite? Because I could have sworn there's another rendition. I think there's like 2 or 3 different versions, but either way,
they reboot everything nowadays.
yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a sequel or a redo or something out there.
Yeah.
And if you have any other suggestions for other movies, guys, please let us know. Next week, we do have a recommended or requested movie that we will be doing. So we'll have basically a flashback of Halloween season.
Yay!
So we'll be watching and reviewing that. So please look forward to that.
It'll hopefully be a palate cleanser so we can start off the new year on a high note. Or maybe not.
Oh, no. I will say this from the actual request. The person that requested it did say that it's a bad movie, but she wants to hear us rip it to shreds. So
okay, well that's fair.
That'll be fun.
We're going back to our roots.
We'll wait till the week after for a palate cleanser, and we'll be back to good ones.
Fair enough.
Because I requested that one. So we'll be doing that. So we'll see you the next time, guys. And in the meantime, stay safe and stay spoopy.
Bye.